everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I want to ask you to please remember to like and share these videos if you enjoy what I do, and so others can also find them. And also, please remember to subscribe to the channel. And make sure you click that little notification bell so you can be notified of my next uploaded videos. I want to kind of talk about some of the latest news on the present coups that are going on in Africa and potential future coups. And I want to start in the country of Cameroon. Cameroon's president is named Paul Biya. He was born February 13th, 1933. He is 90 years old and has been president since November 6th, 1982. This makes him one of the longest serving leaders in Africa. But his presidency has been marked by endemic corruption and the reversal of democratic gains. One, for example, being term limits. In 2008, term limits were abolished, which allowed Biya to run for re-election in 2011. What's worse about this president is that he spends most of his time in Switzerland and not in Cameroon. As a matter of fact, the hotel he spends the majority of his time in averages $40,000 a day. So you do the math. This doesn't include food, the private airplane that he takes when he travels, which is the majority of the time, the entourage he takes with him. It doesn't include any of that. So now imagine how much he is costing the Cameroonian people. As a matter of fact, one of the articles from 2018 said that to that point he had cost the country around $67 million. Money that could have gone to help his people or build an industry, provide jobs. But President Biya is now in fear of a possible coup that could occur in his country. So his answer was to reshuffle his military and remove some of the military leaders. It's a smart move, but it can't stop a coup. Just because you put a person in that you think is going to continue to support your plundering and neglect of your country doesn't mean they'll actually do it. Power is a disease in a lot of these African countries for those who seek it, and the majority who seek it aren't there for the benefit of anyone but themselves and their family. They're willing to sell out their people to help the West stay rich. Not a good look. But Biya is not the only leader in Africa shuffling around their military in fear of a coup. You have Rwanda, who has retired 12 of its generals. You have Uganda, who has removed military leadership as well and reshuffled some of its military. So these other leaders have sat up and they are taking note of what's going on and they're acting in fear. The sad part is they're not making these changes for the betterment of their country. They're making these changes to hopefully continue their leadership. The autocrats on this continent do not want to see Africa move forward. All they want to see is their pockets grow, and they're willing to sacrifice their people to make that happen. They're willing to be puppets. That's why the president of Nigeria would even consider for a second going into Niger in response to the coup. Now, Burkina Faso and Mali have coups. They're not trying to go there. They're only looking at Niger, which I find it interesting that Niger is one of the only ones that is not a member of ECOWAS. So you want to go after a country who's not a member of ECOWAS, but you're kind of holding back on the other coups where the countries are members of ECOWAS. I look at you sideways, Mr. President, in Nigeria, who to date still hasn't done anything or shown any promise for his people. I look at all of these autocratic leaders sideways. I don't understand how you're okay with suffering as long as you gain. I don't get it. But I am happy to see Africa is moving forward, that there are people willing to take the reins and do something to make a change. It doesn't matter if you agree with what they've done. What we can agree on is that something needed to be done. And whatever that something was never going to please everybody. I think what the West didn't expect is that the majority of the people in these countries would support these coups. They thought that they were going to be able to use their media to manipulate the minds of people so that they can keep their palm-colored hands grasped tightly and hold on to all of the resources of Africa, draining it dry. They thought they were going to be able to continue to do that. They had no idea just how fed up the people were and how much they're willing to accept any kind of change that could possibly move them forward in a better direction. I look forward to seeing what is to come for the African countries. And I especially look forward to seeing what's to come for leaders like Baya and these other autocratic leaders who have been in power for years and their country has nothing to show for it. But they sure do have a lot of money in their bank accounts and sitting in suitcases in their homes, like in the case of Bonga in Gabon, having all of that money in a suitcase. Shame on these leaders. Shame on you. And for the people there, continue to push for these leaders to be outed so you can have people that will truly represent you. Make your leaders fear you. That's the only way you're going to get change in them and get them out. And as far as France is concerned, I love the fear that we see in France. They thought when the coup started that there was going to be this instant turnaround. They were going to flex and show their power. And they're learning you really don't have much power over the people once they've decided that they want you gone. These coups have occurred in the French colonies. I would love to see if some of the British colonies start to show coups, like Nigeria, for example, and other African countries who are still under the thumb of the British. I would love to see the change happen there. I would love to see what's to come. Because you have countries like Cameroon, for example, since that was one of the focal points, I just wanted to use this country as an example of how you have a long-term leader who's done nothing but siphon and become extremely wealthy and allowing your enemy, France, to live in comfort while your people who actually own the resources have nothing to show for it. The resources in Cameroon, they have multiple, some being cobalt, lumber, crude oil, aluminum, so on. There's no reason for the present state of that country and other countries to be what they are. I love to see the news stories this week that showed that these African leaders are no longer going to allow their raw resources to be shipped out of the country, that they will be processing them in their country. That is a great first step. And that is France and the U.S.'s worst fear. Watching the leader, the present president, Traore, in Burkina Faso, turning his back to their enemies and looking to new allies, that's their biggest fear. But that's what needs to be done. For the people, my brothers and sisters over there in Africa, you have to make your leaders fear you in order to get the change you want. They're showing fear. Now let's see if you can get them out and get in leaders that will do what's best for you as a people. That's it for today, guys, and thank you for listening. And if you enjoy topics like this, please leave a comment below. And stay tuned for more videos, because I think we should make this a series, because there's more to discuss about this topic, like the Western's hypocrisy regarding dictatorships and autocracies, because it seems that they love it when it's in Africa, and they will fight to have an autocrat or a dictator put back into place, or even in Haiti or other black nations, but yet they don't seem to have autocrats and dictators in their own countries. But we'll talk about that more in my next upcoming video. And as always, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment on what you think about today's story. I'll see you soon.